Welcome, it's Kevin Sebek, Chief Safety Officer for S3 Consultants, and we're going to talk about the differences between a regular SMS and the sole individual organizational requirements for an SMS. And this will be Module 4, so let's get her done. All right, the agenda slide as always, just peruse it at your leisure and keep moving. These are the exceptions to the SMS, Part 5 SMS for the sole individual organizations. This information comes from an FAQ that was put out a couple days after the requirement dropped last May of 2024. And so the wording is pretty much the same between a Part 135 certificate holder and a Part 91.147 single pilot air tour operators. If you're a 135 sole individual organization, i.e. you're the single pilot that's responsible for safe operation of the aircraft, then the section in Part 5.9E where they put the exceptions at, that's what you're allowed to not do in your SMS. If you have multiple employees, you must meet all the Part 5 requirements. It does not define what multiple employees are. So I'm going to have to ask. I'm going to a conference in first week of March where the AFS 900 program office will be there. So I'm going to ask some of these questions and we'll get clarity on it. But we'll just have to hold till March. All right, next slide. What if you have both a Part 135 certificate and a Part 91.147 LOA? So per the FAQ, you just have to do one Part 5 SMS that encompasses both the certificate and LOA. So there you go. Read at your leisure. Still, the question I have is, will you still get the mandated surveillance within 24 months of the submission of the Declaration of Compliance? Have to find that out when I ask those questions in March to the AFS 900 rep. AC-120 Tech 92 Delta Part 5.9E. This highlights the applicable sections that single pilot operations can forego. And I got them listed here, and what it says is 5.21A 4 and 5, which means a safety policy regarding employee hazard reporting. If you're single pilot operations, there are no other employees, so you don't have to have that. Same thing with communication to employees if you're the only guy. If you're the only person, safety accountability for managers not necessary, so is the risk acceptance authority, so is the safety policy communication, and so on. So just go ahead and peruse. What's going to happen is probably go through this line item by line item, and when I start talking about 5.21A4, you can start ignoring it if you're a single pilot operation. And what I'm going to do is drop a link below. The FAA has a sole individual Part 5 gap analysis tool, and which you can use. And in fact, it has everything in it. They just line out these items here listed. So I'll drop the link. Go look at it. I would download it and start using it. So there you go. We'll do a quick summary here. So from the previous slide, not much relief. Don't know what to tell you. They took out all the stuff that requires you to talk to employees. However, there's still 50 items on the gap analysis. I think it was 53 if I counted it right. So there's still a lot to do, even if you're a sole individual. You got to have hazard reporting, which is interesting because you're going to report on yourself. I don't have an idea how that goes. And then you still got to do the interfaces. Now, if you're at a Part 139 airport, then they're supposed to have an SMS also. So that's one of your interfaces. And that's one of the ways you're supposed to report hazards to them and report back. I am reading the 200-page discussion that came from all the questions people had prior to them. Remember, before they implement a rule, there's always a question and answer phase. And that was spit out sometime in 2021. And so I'm going through and reading it. I'm finding some interesting things, but for the most part, they still pretty much require you to do all this stuff, whether you have them, even though you have no employees and you're pretty much sole individual doing it all. And don't know what to tell you. It's going to get worse. I'm going to put out a short here about something that dropped 4 days ago, but you'll have to go watch this short. So if you're a Part 91 147 tour operator, you've got one bit of relief, and here it is. SMS electronic record keeping. If you're Part 135, you got to have the OpSpec A025. There's no way around it. So if you're not, if you have if you're an air tour operator with an LOA under Part 91.147, they don't make you have that OpSpec, and you can maintain your SMS records using any electronic system that you can find. I would say, here comes the Office 360 or 365, so you can start storing stuff either on Word, PowerPoint, Excel, whatever that works for you. So this came off of the when I talked about before, when they were doing the question and answer session. So the specific document is docket number FAA Tech 2021 Tech 0419. Again, that's like 200 pages. I haven't read through the whole thing. It's a lot of question and answers, but they fill in the blanks that you can't find in the advisory circular. So what's the takeaway? Yeah, like I said before, you should follow along after completing your gap analysis of your SMS. If you don't have an SMS, then it's all a gap, so you can just start from scratch. Just understand that on the items that I listed in an earlier slide, you can skip those items as they are not a requirement for your single individual organization. And the good news is, as I said on the previous slide, you don't have to get an OpSpec for electronic record keeping. That came off of the question and answer prior to the ruling, and then that's on the docket. I'll double check it. I'll ask the program office when I see them in March. But the going in assumption is you all have Microsoft 350, 365 or something to that effect in order to document your SMS. There are some other economical tools. There's a thing called FormSite. For $21 a month, you can, download document. Or I shouldn't say you can download document, but you can save documents to it. But you got to make a form, fill out the form, and then the form is saved. And so that's one way of doing it. If you are small enough and you can get WBAP for free, and if you know what that is after I've said it, then you might want to do that. Being that small, I wouldn't go through Wyvern or Baldwin or any of those other guys, because probably way too expensive for your small operation. All right, this one is fairly short and sweet. If you got any questions, ask them below. You'll have to have a YouTube account. And if you do, subscribe and like, because if you like to keep this content going, you got to subscribe and like. That's how we're going to get YouTube advertising to pay for it. And that will keep the modules coming in for free. Otherwise, you got to put it behind a paywall, which we don't want to do. That's work. Let's just keep it going like this. And that's all I got on this. All right, thanks for listening in, and there'll be more to come later. This is Kevin Sedbeck, Chief Safety Officer for S3 Consultants, signing out.